Welcome, friends. So, in earlier lectures, we saw how we can build Docker images, how we can deploy those images in containers and in different platforms, as well as we learned in the earlier playlists what exactly the Google Cloud platform is and what are the different services are provided by Google Cloud platform. We have a separate videos for Google Cloud instances, and these are all infrastructure as a service. Now, in this particular video, we're going to learn about a new infrastructure as a service, but this is completely managed by Google Cloud itself. You will not need to provide the machine, and you need to worry about managing those infrastructure as well. So here you are basically going to focus on your code and have the Google Cloud's platforms infrastructure, managed infrastructure to host your application code. Well, it's a serverless, but that doesn't mean that there is no servers. There are servers, but you just no need to bother about them. So it's slightly less headache for you. Now, why I am going to use this Cloud Run? Because we are having our Docker images deployed in our private or public repository in Docker Hub. Now, we are going to use that image to build the Docker container inside the Google Cloud platform. Also, we will see in the next couple of lectures how we can deploy those container images in different cloud platforms like AWS and Azure. But this time, we will play around Google Cloud Run, which is basically a container deployment service platform in Google Cloud. So let's get started. So friends, this is our Google Cloud console, and we are going to deploy one of our Docker image that is actually in our public repository, Learning Light /my app. And if you see, we have two tags. One is 1.1 and 1.0. So the latest tag is 1.1. So we're going to pull this particular image and we will use this Google Cloud Run service to have this Docker image running as a container. So Google Cloud Run is a managed compute platform that allows users to run containers on Google's scalable infrastructure. Now, as I said, it's a serverless environment that abstracts away the infrastructure management so that users can focus on building the applications. This Cloud Run allows users to deploy code written in any programming language if they can build a container image from it. And in our Docker repository, we're having the Python code. And this particular application will connect to a MySQL database server. And in this particular video, we create the MySQL server as well. And this particular app will connect to this MySQL server privately so that we will keep our database secure and we can host our application in front of the external user, but they cannot directly connect to the database, but the application can. Now, the Cloud Run has a free tier that resets every month and is aggregated across projects by billing account. So this Cloud Run for this month, as we did not have any service, we'll be enjoying the free tier for this Cloud Run this month. And the users are only billed for the usage that goes beyond the free tier, and the pricing depends on the selected region. So right now, we are going to create the service on Cloud Run. And at the same time, we will go to this Cloud SQL and we will create an instance for this Cloud SQL to create a MySQL managed database inside the Google Cloud Platform. And this particular managed MySQL database will be accessed through a private IP address so that our database will be kept secure and it is not going to be exposed in the external world. Now, let's give some name of this particular database as MyDB. And for the password, this is the password of root user. So we are going to say root 123456. And we can keep this enterprise version and we can keep it as development one to just minimize the cost of this particular MySQL. We are fine with single zone in US Central 1 region. We are fine with any zone, so it's fine. We are not going to specify any zone. Now, for this machine configuration, let's take the least one, that is one vCPU and 3.75 gigabytes. And for storage, we're going to use SSD and we're going to keep this storage as 10 GB. Now, this particular storage can be increased automatically if you keep on adding the data inside the database. But if you choose 100 gigs, for example, at the time when it is going to be created, then you cannot reduce the size. So it's just one way increment. Now, I'm not going to change the encryption key. I'm fine with Google managed encryption key. Now, for this connection, I don't want this database to be exposed in the external world. Rather, I'm going to create the private IP. Now, I'm going to select the default VPC. And as I don't have any IP range allocated inside this network, so let me use Google's automatically allocate IP and let me create the connection. And once this internal IP address will be created, it will be assigned to this MySQL instance. All right, so private service access connection for the network default has been successfully created. And now we are able to use the same network across our project. And we will use the same internal IP address to be accessed from our Cloud Run. And let's enable this private path as well so that any cloud services like BigQuery and any other stuff like Google Cloud Run as well, we can use the internal network. And I'm not bothered about this data production and other stuff. And let me straightforwardly create this instance. Now, this particular database will be created and it will take a lot time, almost 4-5 minutes or more than that it will take to create the database instance. By that time, we're going to create this Cloud Run. And here we have two options. One is to deploy one revision of our image from an existing container repository. For example, we can use the artifact repository or Docker Hub or any other public repository, or we can use the GitHub to continuously deploy from the repository. So for now, we are going to use the Docker Hub, and this is our Docker Hub My App Docker image. and this is we are going to use. So over here, you need to specifically mention docker.io and then slash learning light slash my app, and then you have to specify the tag, which is version 1.1. Now you have to specify some service name. So this time I'm going to say it's my app, and we are fine with the US Central 1 region because our database is also the same region. So um, it's better to have this over here. Uh, Authentication, we are fine with unauthenticated users. And here is the very good thing for the Google Cloud is that we can scale to zero. So if there is no traffic that is being served, so it can scale down to zero as well. We can keep it as one so that at least one container will be available to serve the traffic whenever there is a new request comes into the picture, and that particular time that user will not have any latency. So in that case, you can set it to one to avoid the cold starts. So we are not provide the ingress as internal, it is an external one. Now over here, we need to specify the container port. And in our Docker container, we are running the Streamlit application through port number 5000. And there is no specific container commands we need to provide, but we need to provide the variables. If you go to this Docker repository, you can see the list of environment variables are there. So what we are going to do, we will copy these environment variables from here, and let me put these environment variables one by one, and we will put their values after that. So DB host and DB port. And DB port is basically 3306, which is the default one. And also the root password, we already provided the root password is at root 123456. And DB user is root. And here this database host that we are going to get once our MyDB Cloud SQL instance is ready. So we have done almost everything. And in the network part, we are going to create this to connect this particular database internally with this cloud run container. So we need to specify that we're going to connect to a VPC. And what is a VPC is basically the default VPC. And also we are having the default subnet. But this will ensure that this particular VPC will able to fetch the data from the database securely within this internal network. So all we need to do, we need to wait for the MySQL instance to be created. And once it is created, we will provide the database host name in the environment variable. So let me pause my video. Once the database will be created, we'll be back. All right, our database is ready. Now we got one private IP address. So let's grab this one and let us put the IP address for the database host. Now let's create this Cloud Run instance. Now this service is being created, and we can wait for a minute or so until this deployment is completed. And our deployment is done. So we got one URL Now, this particular URL can be accessed publicly, as we have mentioned during the configuration. So let's go to this URL and we can see our Streamlit application is running fine. And we got this second version because we are using version 1.1, which is the second version, and we got everything. Now, if we keep one item serial number one, and maybe we can put this cloud run as the item. And if we go ahead and say insert item, we can see that item is inserted successfully. And if we check the show item, we can see this item is being shown. Similarly, we can put number two, and this time we can say cloud SQL instance. And this item also we can insert, and then we can see the item from the list. So our application is running absolutely fine. This time our application is running through Google Cloud Run service, and we used our public repository learning light slash my app with the version 1.1, which is the latest version. We use a Docker image that we created earlier in Docker container section. And this particular image we can easily use to host our application in Google Cloud Run. Thank you for watching this video. So in this particular video, we saw how we can create one web application with the help of the Docker Hub container that we created in the last lecture, where our second version of the application is running. And this particular application is securely connecting to a database, which is completely private inside the Google Cloud network. And this particular Cloud Run application can connect to the MySQL server internally and securely. Thank you for watching this video, and we will see how we can run the different version of this particular application in upcoming lectures through Cloud Run, and as well as we can see how we can manage the traffic between those versions. So we will see the release management and version management in the upcoming lecture through Cloud Run. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye.